The movie starts today in the middle of the rural countryside of South Korea. We see our main character, Hwang, beating up a man in the street and taking his money. Then she goes to someone else and demands money from him too, but he refuses, so she beats him as well and takes what she can before walking away. We then learn that our main character works as a debt collector. She heads to the market to meet the woman who gave her the job, but the woman is annoyed with Hwang because she didn't collect from everyone today. She tells her, "What were you even doing when you were living in Saigon? Do your job properly or I'll find someone else." Hwang takes the criticism and puts up with it without arguing. She just wants to buy food and go back to her daughter. But then she hears. The whole market is whispering and talking about her, because no one really knows anything about her except that she came from Saigon with her daughter, and that she only works as a debt collector, nothing more. While our main character is standing there buying something, she notices other debt collectors like her beating up another man nearby. She walks away, clearly upset, because people keep looking down on her work with contempt. She then goes to pick up her daughter, Mai, from school, but when she arrives, she finds the other kids bullying her. They push her around and tell her, "You're an illegitimate child." They keep harassing her, and when they see the mother, they start mocking her too because she's a debt collector. Then they all walk away. All of this makes Mai's relationship with her mother not the best, because she ends up repeating what other people say about her at home, which hurts their bond. When they get home, she starts getting ready. Our main character starts eating, while the daughter sits down to study in a quiet corner. Hwang goes outside and lights a cigarette, but she notices her daughter looking at her. She immediately puts it out so she won't upset her. The problem is, when they sit down to eat, Mai doesn't like the food. Her mother can't really cook well at all, and the meal is poorly prepared and undercooked. Suddenly, someone starts banging violently on their door. It's a man whose brother Hwang had previously injured while collecting debt. He keeps pounding on the door, shouting and demanding she open it so he can break her leg the same way she broke his brother's. But Hwang stays silent, holding her daughter close and not reacting. After a while, the man gets tired and eventually leaves. Once things calm down, Hwang tells Mai, "Don't let fear take control of you, no matter how dangerous things get. You always have to stay strong and keep your composure." When they sit down to eat again, Mai opens up and says she's actually interested in fish farming and has been thinking about working. But her mother insists she should focus only on her studies and nothing else. They end up clashing when Mai explains that she doesn't even like school. Her classmates bully her, calling her illegitimate, and mocking her mother for being a debt collector. Mai then suggests an idea. They could start a fish farm together and work on it as a family, and her mother could leave the debt collection job completely. But her mother refuses. Hurt and disappointed, Mai walks away and goes to sleep upset. Later, in reality, Hwang starts thinking seriously about what her daughter said. She opens a small box containing a photo of their family back in Saigon. Inside the box is also a gold earring she kept, something that could be sold for a decent amount of money. Gold is really expensive these days, you know that. Anyway, she starts remembering what her life used to be like back in Saigon. We then learn that she was actually part of a gang, and used to cause a lot of trouble. But in the end, she chose to give it all up and escape with her daughter to the countryside to start a new life. The next day, our main character takes her daughter, and they head to the market. She decides she's going to sell the gold earrings so she can finally start the fish farm her daughter has been dreaming about. But suddenly, she sees a crowd gathered. Vendors are holding her daughter and yelling at her. She rushes over to find out what's going on, and they tell her that the girl stole a wallet. Mai tries to defend herself, saying she just found it on the ground. But one of the women there claims it's her wallet, and starts insisting loudly that Mai is a thief. How much did she even take from her? Mai gets really upset, especially because even her own mother doesn't fully trust her story. Hwang looks around and sees everyone demanding that Mai's pockets be searched. When she finally considers doing it, Mai gets furious. "I didn't steal anything. I hate you!" She grabs her things and runs away, heartbroken and angry. Just then, the real owner of the wallet shows up and tells everyone that he was drunk while shopping and simply dropped it by mistake. Hwang is devastated because her daughter was wrongly accused. She quickly takes back the gold earring she was about to sell, but when she turns around, Mai is gone. She searches everywhere, and then she sees it. A group of men, a gang, grabbing Mai and taking her away. Hwang loses control completely. She rushes in and starts fighting them right there in the middle of the market. She fights them with everything she has, trying to save her daughter before it's too late, but the problem is, they're armed with sharp weapons. One of them swings a cleaver and knocks her down. She staggers for a moment, then suddenly smashes a watermelon into his head, hard enough to stun him, and breaks free. She runs straight toward the sea, because the men have taken Mai onto a boat and are trying to escape. But the mother, now completely furious and desperate, dives into the water and grabs onto the boat. One of the gang members hits her to force her to let go, but she refuses to give up. She quickly spots a motorcycle parked nearby, steals it in seconds, and speeds off after them immediately. She keeps screaming at them to stop and bring her daughter back, but they ignore her completely and keep going. Now she's racing through rough terrain and forest paths, trying to find a shortcut to catch up with the boat as fast as possible. Because they're moving by boat on the water, she becomes so reckless that she crashes through a small forest gathering, completely destroying part of the setup just to get through and reach them. But then one of the gang members shows up on a motorcycle too. A car suddenly passes in front of them, causing both of them to crash. Phuong quickly hides, knowing he's now hunting her down and trying to kill her. When he spots her in the swamp, she bursts out of the water and attacks him first. He's brutal and lands several heavy blows on her, but driven by pure maternal instinct, she manages to overpower him, strangling him against a tree branch. She demands to know where he took her daughter. When he refuses to talk, she kills him on the spot and continues her pursuit without hesitation. She takes his motorcycle and rides through the village, asking people for directions. Eventually, she spots their boat again, stopped nearby. At a certain location, she finally sees them. Mai is being taken away in a car. They destroy her motorcycle and leave without hesitation. The villagers confirm that the vehicle is heading towards Saigon. At that moment, it feels like Phuong has no choice but to face her painful past once again. Without thinking, she starts stopping every car heading toward the city, trying to get a ride. When no one stops for her, she makes a desperate decision. She jumps into the back of a truck and hides inside its cargo area, just to make sure she gets there in time. All she can think about is Mai. She keeps replaying memories of them together, especially their last moments, and how she's been too harsh on her lately because of how protective she is. At around 6 in the morning, Phuong finally arrives in Saigon. This is the city she used to live in long ago. She goes to meet a woman from her past, Lily. When Lily sees her, she's shocked by how much she's changed. Phuong quickly explains everything. Her daughter has been kidnapped and brought into Saigon. But Lily tells her the truth, things are completely different now. There are multiple gangs operating in the city, and they have huge influence and power. She advises Phuong to report it to the police and go back to her peaceful rural life, because getting involved could drag her into serious danger. Phuong decides to follow her advice and files a report. However, the officer taking her statement is unusually cold and indifferent. He keeps assuring her that his superior, Long, will find her daughter soon. But while waiting, Phuong notices something disturbing. On the wall, there are multiple case files and notices of missing persons and kidnappings, far more than she expected. The case still hasn't been solved, so Phuong pretends she's feeling unwell and asks the officer to bring her a painkiller. The moment he leaves the room, she quietly moves closer to the wall and examines the files. What she discovers shocks her. There are many children who have been kidnapped, and no one knows what happened to them. Even worse, there are multiple kidnapping gangs operating in the city, and despite all the reports, no one has been able to pin any charges on them. Realizing how deep this goes, she makes a bold decision. She quietly takes the entire file on the gangs from the office and leaves without being noticed. At the same time, Inspector Long arrives. He's busy on a phone call when his officer informs him that a woman came in reporting her daughter's kidnapping. But when they go to check on her, she's gone. Not only that, but important case files are missing from the office as well. Meanwhile, Phuong is already on the move, going from house to house, tracking down every possible lead she can find. She keeps following every lead connected to the kidnappings until she finally reaches a house linked to a man named Track. His mother opens the door and tells her he's not home and that she should leave. But Phuong refuses to back down. Her daughter's life is on the line. She insists that Track must know who kidnapped her daughter and that she needs answers immediately. Just then, Track appears. He tells his mother to let Phuong in. But the moment she steps inside, he suddenly attacks her without warning, stabbing her in the shoulder with a screwdriver. He then grabs a hammer, ready to finish her off, furious because she pushed his mother to let her in. But Phuong is not that easy to take down. A brutal fight breaks out inside the house. They exchange heavy blows, both refusing to back down. In the chaos, Phuong manages to strike him hard in the neck, forcing him to stagger back. She quickly breaks free and chases after him, while he grabs the hammer again, and the fight continues with intense rage and desperation. The fight pushes both of them to the edge, and it almost reaches the point where Phuong is about to kill him. She grabs him and demands again, "Where is my daughter?" At that moment, his mother breaks down in tears, begging him to help her. She tells him she can't live if anything happens to him. The pressure finally breaks him. Realizing how serious this has become, he gives in and provides her with an address tied to the gang that took Mai. But he warns her, she only has 4 hours. After that, the girl will be moved onto a specialized transport train, medically equipped, for organ extraction. Fuang is completely shaken by what she hears, but she doesn't waste a second. She immediately heads to the gang's location. When she arrives, she takes down the guard with a few fast strikes, knocking him unconscious. Then she pushes deeper into the hideout, fighting through every obstacle like a mother protecting her cub. As she moves inside, she's suddenly spotted by two men. Members of the gang immediately rush at her, but Fuang takes them down with a few precise, controlled strikes, neutralizing them quickly. She moves through a narrow corridor and finds another guard. He tries to stop her, but she deals with him just as fast. Finally, she reaches a room where kidnapped children are being held. She knocks out the guard inside and steps in carefully. There, she sees something that makes her freeze for a moment. Scattered clothes and a sandal belonging to her daughter. Her fear spikes instantly. She starts to panic, thinking she might be too late, that something has already happened to Mai. But she refuses to accept that thought. She pushes it down and keeps moving. Before she can leave, she overhears a man speaking on the phone with the gang leader. He says there are now 30 children with them. The leader, Maki, tells him to stick to the plan without mistakes. Without hesitation, Fuang slams on the door. As soon as the man appears, Fuang grabs him and immediately knocks him down with a fast strike. She demands to know where the leader is, and where her daughter is. But the leader doesn't care at all. She ignores Fuang completely and orders two of her strongest men to attack her. In that moment, Fuang turns her head and sees Mai, along with other children, in a nearby room. Her focus shifts instantly. She tries to break through the guards as fast as possible to reach them and free them. But the leader is still there. Calm, ruthless, and fully in control. She doesn't like what Fuang has done, so she steps in herself. A brutal fight breaks out between them. The leader is extremely strong and experienced, landing heavy metal-like strikes that knock Fuang down hard. While all of this is happening, she continues arranging the shipment of the children by train, giving orders to her men. Then she orders them to deal with Fuang and remove her from the way. They take her toward the sea. As they throw her into the water, Fuang is tied up tightly. Under the surface, her mind flashes back to childhood memories. For a brief moment, she loses strength, but she snaps back, struggling desperately to reach the surface. She fights against the ropes with everything she has, but they're too tight. After a long struggle, her body finally gives in and she loses consciousness underwater. Later, she wakes up in a hospital bed. She's confused and immediately panicked, asking about the time. A nurse tells her to rest because she's still in critical condition, but Fuang refuses. Her daughter is still missing. At that moment, Inspector Long arrives to speak with her. Fuang looks at him and says, "So you're the officer in charge of my daughter's kidnapping case?" Long replies coldly, "And you're the one responsible for burning down half the city 8 years ago." Fuang immediately corrects him. "No, it was 10 years ago, not 8. Just let me go, I don't have time." But Inspector Long tells her to let the police handle it. He warns her that she's already lucky to be alive after being pulled from the river, and that she's only slowing the investigation. Worse still, when they went back to the gang's hideout, they found nothing, no men, no children, no trace at all. Fuang completely breaks down. She's terrified for her daughter, and now time feels like it's running out. As soon as Long leaves, she tells the nurse everything. She explains that her daughter has been kidnapped and is about to be sold for organ trafficking. The nurse is shaken and sympathizes with her. Fuang uses that moment of confusion and pressure to her advantage. She forces her way out of the hospital, making it clear she won't let anyone stop her. And she succeeds in getting out. They make a plan, and Fuang escapes on a motorcycle with the nurse helping her. The nurse eventually drops her off at a specific house. It turns out this is the house of Fuang's brother. He is shocked to see her after so many years and had no idea what happened to her. She steps inside and looks at a picture of her late parents. That triggers painful memories. Her past arguments with her father, how she used to be reckless and involved with gangs, and how she left home after a conflict over her life choices. She recalls how she ended up with a man connected to that world, got pregnant, and then was abandoned, forcing her to escape and raise Mai alone. Now, she finally tells her brother everything. She explains that the train is already moving and she needs help immediately to save her daughter. But he shocks her. He tells her that their uncle passed away last year, and even their father has died too. Her brother is also angry at her, especially because she never came back, not even to attend the funerals. He tells her that she abandoned the family and left everything behind. He also makes it clear that he has never even met Mai, and he doesn't know who her father is. Tensions rise, and the conversation turns harsh. In the end, he tells her to leave and never come back. Fuang walks out completely shattered. She stands alone beside the house, crying and unable to think clearly. She has no idea what to do next, and for a moment it feels like she's lost everything. That's when Inspector Long appears. He had been watching her. He tells her that the child kidnapping networks are operating around the clock, and the only way to bring them down is to take out the top of the organization first. Then he delivers the critical information, The target train has already left, but only about 15 minutes ago. The problem is, no one knows the train number except Fwang. He looks at her and says in a firm voice that together they can still stop it. They don't waste any time and head straight to the train station. Both of them search everywhere, trying to figure out which train it is. Then Fwang suddenly remembers the train number, the one the leader had mentioned earlier in front of her. That's their only lead. Inspector Long tells her to wait for backup and not take unnecessary risks, but Fwang refuses. She can't just stand there while her daughter is being taken away. Without hesitation, she jumps onto the train alone. She moves quickly from one carriage to another, carefully scanning each section. But before long, some of the gang members spot her and immediately attack. Long rushes in to support her, trying to help hold them off, but Fwang barely even needs it. She takes them down in seconds. She tells Long to stay behind with the rest and secure the area while she pushes forward alone, determined to find the exact carriage where Mai is being held. Yes, she manages to narrow it down. The train is partially separated into sections, and Fwang realizes the children aren't spread evenly. That forces her to climb onto the roof of the train to get a better sense of where the guarded section is. But one of the gang members hears her on top and climbs up after her. A dangerous fight breaks out on the moving train roof, wind blasting, unstable footing, and the constant risk of falling. Fwang nearly slips at one point, but she reacts quickly and forces her way through, dropping into the carriage through a side window just in time. Inside, more men are waiting. They grab her immediately and start beating her, especially one who clearly recognizes her from the past and wants revenge. But Fwang doesn't back down. Driven purely by instinct and desperation to save her daughter, she fights back brutally, taking down one after another. Inspector Long catches up and steps in to help clear the attackers, giving her just enough opening. Fwang doesn't stop. She pushes forward again, determined to reach the carriage where Mai is being held. At that moment, the leader is speaking with one of her subordinates, ordering him to get ready to transfer the children's carriage at a scheduled point on the railway, changing its route so it will no longer reach its original destination. Meanwhile, Fwang finally reaches the leader's carriage and stands directly in front of her. The leader is furious at her audacity, and immediately kicks her back hard, pushing her away just long enough to continue giving orders to redirect the train away from the main path toward a different route. Inspector Long is still elsewhere on the train, trying to control the situation with the remaining gang members. That leaves Fwang completely alone against the leader. She attacks with full intensity. For the first time, she manages to injure the leader, drawing blood. That only makes her more aggressive, and she increases the intensity of her attacks. But the leader is unpredictable and extremely dangerous. In a sudden counterattack, she breaks Fwang's arm and slams her to the ground. Fwang suddenly remembers her childhood training with her father, everything he taught her about discipline, timing, and survival. Despite her injured arm, she grips the gold earring pouch tightly and stands back up. She looks the leader straight in the eye and says, "You made a mistake the moment you took my daughter." Then she attacks again, but this time differently. More focused. More precise. No hesitation anymore, because her daughter's life is on the line. The leader pulls out a knife, but Fwang reacts faster, knocking it out of her hand immediately. She doesn't give her a chance to recover. Strike after strike, she overwhelms her with controlled, brutal force. Fwang grabs the knife, turning the fight completely around. The leader tries to resist, but she's no longer in control of the situation. In the end, Fwang delivers a final decisive strike, ending the fight for good. With the leader defeated, Fwang rushes forward through the train, searching desperately until she finally reaches the carriage where the children are being held. And there she sees Mai. Fwang breaks down in tears, pulling her daughter into her arms. All the fear, anger, and exhaustion collapse at once as she holds her tightly. Through tears, she keeps apologizing and telling her how much she loves her. Mai quickly explains that she didn't steal the wallet in the market. Before the situation calms down, she adds something even more shocking: there are other children with her, all of them scared just like she is. Fwang is stunned when she realizes the truth. There are around 30 kidnapped children inside the same train carriage. At that moment, Inspector Long has already called in backup and is preparing to shut the entire operation down. Intelligence confirms that another gang is waiting at the destination to receive the train and the children. Fwang tells Mai and the other kids to stay hidden and not move. She promises she will come back for them. Then she steps out alone. What follows is a full-scale confrontation. Fwang moves through the gang members with ruthless efficiency, showing that she is highly skilled not only in hand-to-hand combat but also with firearms. She clears wave after wave of attackers, refusing to let any of them reach the children. Despite multiple attempts to stop her, the gang keeps failing. But in the middle of the chaos, one of them manages to land a hit on her. A bullet knocks Fwang to the ground. Just before the attacker finishes her off, Inspector Long arrives and takes him down instantly, ending it without hesitation. Mai then runs toward her mother, completely terrified and crying, thinking she might have lost her. But luckily, Fwang is still alive and is rushed to the hospital for treatment. Afterward, the news reports everything that happened. The story spreads everywhere, and Fuang becomes known for taking down a major kidnapping network and saving dozens of children. At school, Mai's classmates change their attitude toward her. Instead of mocking her, they start seeing her as the daughter of a real hero, not just the debt collector's kid they used to bully. From that moment, the relationship between mother and daughter becomes much stronger and more stable than ever before. Mai even asks her mother to teach her how to fight so she can become strong like her. And that's where the film comes to an end. In the end, if you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos.